Come see me! Come see me! Come see mommy! Come see mommy! Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my review of The Northman. This is the latest and third movie by Robert Eggers, the guy who's responsible for The Witch and The Lighthouse, a couple of movies that have had some really good praise in terms of both critical and movie-going public. And this one is going to be no exception to that because it is freaking awesome! Like, seriously, this movie is great! I love it! Oh, yeah, I haven't been this pumped for a movie in a very long time. This one just blew my fucking socks off. I loved it. Like, ever since the first trailer came out for this thing, I've been looking forward to this one. I've been watching the hype build up and build up and build up, so, you know, my expectations were pretty high, and this one rose to the challenge. Oh, I loved it. Okay, I'm going to stop gushing about this and actually get into the nitty-gritty of the movie itself, but suffice to say, this movie, if you are anything like me and have my particular kinds of taste, which I have demonstrated through many a video of this channel, go see this movie. It is great. Just get off your ass, put your butts, get off your ass here, put your ass in the chairs at the movie theater, and watch this movie. Okay, now, this movie is the story of a prince named Amleth, whose father is murdered by his uncle, who then proceeds to take the queen as his wife, take his kingdom, and now Amleth has sworn vengeance and, you know, through various methods of, you know, subterfuge and bloodshed, goes on to obtain it. If that sounds anything familiar to you, chances are that you're familiar with Hamlet, because William Shakespeare was inspired by this very same story to create that particular play. This one goes back a while too. This one was first written down around, what, the 1200 AD mark, something like that? Previous to that, it would have been like the oral tradition, just, you know, people telling these stories again and again, embellishing this bit, you know, changing out that bit. So there's probably like a dozen different versions of this thing out there. Who knows? But suffice to say, the version we're seeing here was written by Robert Eggers, along with contributions by a Icelandic poet named Sion. I have no idea how to pronounce that, so apologies. To really bring out the, you know, authenticity. And that is something I really liked about this film. It feels very authentic to what we know about the period, the culture, the religious practices, the, you know, the way everything was looked and stuff like that. They didn't just bring that. He brought in a whole bunch of, like, you know, experts, archaeologists, and, you know, historians and stuff like that to really get the nitty-gritty down. And this is something that Robert Eggers has done consistently throughout his work, starting with The Witch, which is very much not just period authentic to just the look of things, but also period authentic to the mentality and culture of the people who are, you know, the subject of the film. And the thing, this applies here too. This isn't just like a pure historical, you know, revenge story. This very much takes into account how people believe the world worked back then. So when there's strange things that happen and mystical things that happen, it's not a question of whether or not these things were real in real life. The people here believed they were real and acted accordingly. So it makes sense that this is not just some, you know, historical story. This is like, it feels in terms of comparison, I put this in terms of like the Ten Commandments or some kind of like story like that, where it's a historical thing with some, you know, serious divine power being thrown around here and there, if you know what I mean. So it's that kind of tone, but with the intensity cranked up. This is, wow, this movie was just, it just wouldn't stop. Even the less brutal moments, the more, you know, the calm between the, you know, before the storm and in certain scenes, the intensity never really lets up. Everybody is just like giving their A game throughout there. The cinematographer, the music, the actors, everybody is just like really nailing every single moment in here. I mean, Alexander Skarsgard, you know, your lead, who's also one of the producers on the film and, you know, part of the reason why this movie got made in the first place. I'd seen this guy do action roles previously, like The Legend of Tarzan, where he plays the lead in that. Incidentally, if you haven't seen that movie, it is very much in tone with the original Edgar Rice Burroughs novels, far so more so than I think a lot of other adaptations have been. Even though this one takes some liberties, so it's well worth checking out. I liked that one quite a bit. But yeah, he is like, on the one hand, he is a berserker warrior. He is a beast in this movie. Like, he's just brutal as hell and is incredible as it. But he's also like has his tender moments, and he's got these very emotional moments that somehow manages to make that work. You have Anya Taylor-Joy coming back from The Witch here, who is also incredibly good. She's very much she really stands toe to toe with Alexander Skarsgård for the lead of this movie. She's like essential to the progression of his character, and they very much work really well. It's got great chemistry on that. You have the supporting cast. You got Willem Dafoe coming in as like both the court jester, so to speak, for almost Father's Court, but also as a strangely mystical quality, as he also has religious responsibilities, and that's something that's very, very important throughout this whole thing. This is a very religious culture in many ways. Like, everything they do has some kind of ritual to it, some kind of like mystical connotations and stuff like that, and it is like some of the more brutal stuff isn't even in the fighting. It's in the sheer level of bloodshed that's involved just in making the gods happy about stuff. So that's something you need to worry about. Those of you who have problems with watching animals get killed, yeah, there's some of that in this movie. So be warned about that. Yeah, back to the cast. You've got well, let's see, Ethan Hawke, who plays as Amla's father, who's not in the movie very long. Obviously, he gets taken out. But you can tell this guy, Ethan Hawke, has had some very good experience doing, Shakespeare, for instance, and he, shows that off. He's really, really good in this. And, his, brother, who kills him, Claes Bang, is also really, really good. He's a villain, but he's a villain who's got some moments where you can kind of sympathize with him in certain ways, so it's not necessarily a pure black and white kind of, evil character. And, of course, you have Nicole Kidman playing his mother, who's... I won't go into spoilers for her. She's got some turns to her character, but she's not, necessarily always just a damsel in distress. So that's something to look forward to in there. And she does a really, really good performance in this too. And you even have little side characters showing up like Bjork, or the guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones in smaller roles that you notice them. They really do. Everybody does a great job in this movie. There is no sour notes anywhere. Everybody puts their A game into this. And, just what a game it is. I mean, holy crap. Just, if you were looking for a movie that lived up to something like Milius's Conan the Barbarian, which I know has been Eggers has mentioned as an influence on this one, yeah, this one reaches up to there in terms of quality of, the sword and sorcery movie. It doesn't have... I'll say this one is way more grim than that one ever was. So if you're looking for something with a bit more lightheartedness, there's no moments where Conan falls face first into a bowl of soup or something like that to liven the mood. This one gets really dark, and it stays there, and it keeps going there. So be prepared for that. It can be a bit too intense for a lot of people, I think. But if you can handle that, damn, there's some visuals in this movie, and there's just... the cinematography. They really took the locations they filmed and made them feel epic. This is, like a lot of the Icelandic sagas, this is very much a family affair, if you know what I mean. It's not necessarily the most epic of stories. It's just like, my uncle killed my dad, I'm gonna go kill him. There's, very few characters in terms of, the actual interrelationships of who's, responsible for what and who's gonna get revenge on who and stuff like that. But it feels epic, just the way the landscapes are filmed. And even the most barren of landscapes are beautiful to look at. That is something that, this movie is artistic as hell. And some of the images in this, especially some of the more supernatural things that occur, like, a Valkyrie coming to grab a warrior and take him to Valhalla, and, a ship sailing into Yggdrasil, the world tree, which is, peppered with, the bodies of kings as their branches, direct them down their family trees and stuff like that. There's a fight against a Draugr, an undead barrow dweller, during the film. There's magic swords, there's prophecies, there's all kinds of great stuff in this. I mean, god damn, it's great. I'm just gushing. I'm just going to keep gushing about this thing. It is awesome. So, yeah, The Northman. If you haven't seen it, but you want to see it, go see it. If you don't want to see it, what the hell is wrong with you? Go see it. It's that simple. The movie has a naked volcano sword duel. Naked volcano sword duel. What more do you want from life? Naked volcano sword duel. I've been Zero Sum 716. Like, share, subscribe. I will see you next time. Bye.